Hey, hola, boa tarde from Portugal, from me, Carl Munson, and Lee's also in Portugal, the head gardener, Lee McGrady. And good evening to you folks over there in the UK. Is it dark yet over there?
Not quite.
Just in the twilight
I
today.
don't know about you, Anna, but it's not quite dark.
Getting there. I can still just about see out the window. Well, I say out the window at the back porch, but looking at the sky colour, it's just starting to turn a bit now.
Okay, and weather-wise, is it get out and grow, or is it stay in and curl up?
It's been a bit, looking at my smart speaker, it has been a little bit on the low side. I think I've actually seen it down. I think once it was saying it was like -1, I think, and then 0. So it's been a little bit colder. But, not double figures yet. So.
All right, let's be waiting for that moment. Okay, we've already got Jean Van de Beek, a listener in France.
Wow.
Good evening to you, John. A very, very dedicated listener with us right now. Boa noite a todos. Alguém tem experiência com plantio de pistachio plants. That's one to take to the head garden. Let's find out how he is right now and see if he has any experience of growing pistachios.
A little bit. Not my personal experience, but one of my customers grows them. Sorry, motorbikes are passing. One of my customers grows pistachios. And she does quite well with it. She does okay. I think the mice get most of them. She's got quite a rural garden, so it's definitely doable.
How do they grow? Because nuts vary, don't they? You think of your groundnut or your peanut and a cashew nut. They all grow in very different ways, don't they? So what does a pistachio look like, Lee?
It's a vine, I think. I think you class it as a vine.
A vine. Okay.
Yeah. They're quite quick growing as well, I believe.
Cool. And how are you?
Not something.
I didn't check in with you. How are you? I mean, you must be getting excited now. I've seen a lot of your contributions in the group have been about planting seeds. It's a giddy, excitable time for a gardener, isn't it? This time of year.
Yeah. It's going really well. This last week or so, it's doing really well. I'm very excited. I've done my sweet peas this morning. They've gone into the plastic frame. I've sold my wildflower seeds this morning, so that's part of my companion planting. So yeah, really excited. Tomatoes are in trays. So go.
Fantastic. I got a few bits to share with you and a little bit of a sad story with sweet potatoes. But you also have a lawn to show us, I think, right?
I can turn the camera on and show if you wish.
I was really impressed when you showed it. Yes, look at us. It's show home lawn, that is.
It's not quite yet. It's only a couple of weeks old. It's only been sold. I think I can't think it's 2 weeks or just less than 2 weeks, but there's good growth on it so far. The lawn at the bottom by the pool is better. Right. That was sown a week before this one. And I've got a small lawn down the side that was sown the week before that. So in different stages, they're all looking good.
Okay, and what you said was quite bumpy. Did you rotate it and start from the scratch, or did you just cut the top off like people cut, turf cutting?
I did a test dig first to see how deep the good soil went, and quite luckily here we've got maybe a foot, a good spade depth of decent soil. So I just skimmed it off. I just skimmed off the top surface. Well, that was part of the problem. The front top lawn had a large lump in the middle. So that was it was a foot high in the middle of the lawn from the sides, and it's not that big a lawn. So we leveled that. The lawn by the pool was just infested with moss, and there was nothing to be done for it. So again, I skimmed all that off. And the lawn around the other side doesn't get that much light. It's a bit under shade behind the pump house, so that had suffered from lack of light. So I've jigged about with the seed mixes a little bit to get the perfect mix for each lawn. So hopefully they'll take off nicely. And this time next year we'll be striping them, and they'll be looking stunning.
Striking them? What do you mean?
Striping. Putting stripes in.
Oh, okay, fantastic, striping them. And you say you put a mix in, so you've got a bespoke grass mix, have you? What for? So it can be hard wearing, or it's got chamomile in it, or what's the story?
We've we've got one really large lawn that I've not tackled yet, but that had a disease on last year and it killed off patches. And because I was unsure of how the grass would manage in the climate, I did test patches. So I made different blends of seed up, and I did test patches on that lawn to see which colours I like best and which seeds I like best, because the grass here is very different to England.
Yes, yeah.
And each lawn here has a different purpose. So we've got the front lawn where the kids play on. We've got the lawn by the pool, which is just ornamental. We've got the lawn by the pump house, which doesn't really get used, but gets walked across to get to the car bay by the kids. So I needed something that was hardy but also looked good. So yeah. I've had the seeds last year to be prepared for this year. So yeah.
All right, excellent. John was asking a very interesting question. We've got lots to get through this week. We've had a few questions. One that you asked in the group, John, was you were inquiring about people's compost heaps. How did that go?
Well, I've only had one answer. Liz, you've shown yours. I was just interested because I just was interested to see people's different compost heaps and stuff like that. But I thought it would be cool just a bit of interaction with the group. But yeah, so yeah, I just thought it's an interesting thing to do, and maybe people could get tips off each other, you know, like yeah. So obviously we'll see what happens with that post, but yeah, if you haven't seen that post, now that we can talk about it and you're aware of it, have a look, like, comment, show a photo of your compost heap, and let's get a discussion going on compost heaps, because they may not be the nicest smelling things in the world compared to Blossom, as we were talking about before the show started, but they are a very important part of the garden, not only for just getting shot of gardening rubbish, but also for wildlife, of course. And actually, onto the wildlife part of the gardening, just wildlife part of seeing wildlife in the garden. I'm really talking rambling here now, aren't I? But I know, Anna, you had a good wildlife experience. Was it at the weekend or last week? I wasn't quite sure.
You're doing great, John, by the way.
I think it was over the weekend. I think I've only saw one ever on the feeders outside the sitting room window outside, because we live on a main road, so we thought we'd put some bird feeders just outside the front window to just encourage birds to come along. And I had my, well, I say had a second sighting. Unfortunately, it was the inevitable where it took off before I could get a proper view of it. But we had a greater spotted woodpecker visit the feeder. I do remember the first time actually seeing one. I literally had to double take, because I mean they're pretty much twice the size of your normal garden bird, like robin or something like that. And I literally did a double take, and it was I can vaguely remember the excitement. I think my heart nearly skipped a beat, sort of seeing something that different on the feeders. But I have seen a couple of nuthatches which seem to like the feeders at the moment. So yeah, doing well for the birds and blue tits and robins. And we've adapted one of the feeders and added a slightly extra perch on one of them. So it was quite amusing seeing one of the birds trying to almost swinging around in circles trying to get some food. It's literally just a bit of wood sort of put nearby it. So because what we're actually finding quite interesting is that we're actually getting blackbirds seeming quite interested in the fat blocks that we have, and I feel sorry for them slightly, because they're almost doing a hummingbird impression, because they're literally flying up, sort of flapping at 70 miles an hour to try and get some food out of the the feeder and then just dropping down again. And I always thought they were ground feeders, so I don't know if they change their habits or something like that. But yeah, it's been quite good for wildlife so far, but birds mostly.
Sounds fantastic. We're seeing a woodpecker. That's beautiful.
Oh yeah.
On the matter of wildlife, while we're about it, Bonoit from Alaska tonight. Got Marty P tuning in from Alaska. How fantastic! I wonder what the gardening opportunities are like in Alaska. Probably not that many in the winter. Go on.
Opportunity, I imagine.
Say that again, mate.
I imagine it's a short window of opportunity in Alaska.
You think so, wouldn't you? I'm sure Marty will tell us. Are there many deer in Portugal? I know they can wreak havoc on gardens, though I enjoy watching them. Deer, Lee, have you come across any of those on your plots?
Not on my plots, but I've seen them about. I do a lot of hiking and walking and photography as well. So I've always got my eye out for stuff like that. And I've seen plenty of deer and I've seen plenty of wild pigs here as well.
Oh,
and
amazing.
they do cause terrible damage to not just farms but to gardens as well.
Yeah. Okay. Something to watch out for there, Marty. And then there was another question, wasn't there? I think it was from Xander in the gardening group, wasn't it? She was saying that with the problems they've had in Texas, they've at least been spared the ant problem that they sometimes have, quite an aggressive ant. And she was asking what goes on here in Portugal. What are the pests in the garden? What might give you a nasty little nip? And I said that none of the snakes were fatal here, but you've heard anecdotes where people, although they're not fatal, they can be seriously painful and harmful.
Oh, not the snakes. The only venomous snake here, I believe, is the adder, which we have in England, which is it's like a bad bee sting if you're a healthy person.
Okay.
What I was referring to was the caterpillars.
Oh yes, the processionary.
It's the processionary caterpillar.
Yeah.
They are lethal. They are terrible things to come across.
And quite harmful to pets as well, I understand.
One of my customers' dog has lost its bottom jaw to them. It had to have its jaw and tongue, half its tongue and its bottom jaw removed.
Yeesh.
Their neighbour actually lost a dog. The dog had come into contact with them at some point in the day while they were at work, and by the time they got home, its face had swollen and obviously stopped breathing.
How awful!
So yeah, they're terrible, and it's becoming a bigger problem year on year in Portugal.
Yes, okay.
But there are ways to deal with them. There are traps available. You can trap on because they nest in the pine trees and they come down in a line, and one follows the other. So you can attach a trap to the bottom of the pine tree and catch them all, and then dispose of them using petrol.
Okay. Right, with fire. Okay. I've noticed that dog's been picking up a few ticks as well just recently. So there's all of that going on. The only time I've seen a snake, well, I've seen a few snakes, but one close to home was Louisa said to me, "Is that a snake over there?" I said, "No, don't be ridiculous. It's just a stick." And it was a snake. And what threw me, this is on the first floor terrace. And how a snake had got up there on a first floor terrace and having a scrap with a lizard and killing the lizard was beyond me. But that was quite something. Jason's got some experience of the processionary caterpillar. I had to cut a nest out last month. Scary business, I bet, Jason, who also says we had a deer wander across the other day in central Portugal. What a beautiful thing to see. Fantastic. We have Marty's answer to the narrow window of opportunity for growing in Alaska. In the summer, things explode here due to nearly 24 hours of sunlight, and we have 1,000-pound cabbages. No kidding. What's for dinner, Mum? Cabbage again. That's fantastic, Marty. I'd love to see a picture of a 1,000-pound cabbage. Gary's also got a question for us tonight. I have a weed growing in the garden which I can't seem to get rid of. Any ideas? Preferably not pesticides to get rid of it. He sent me a picture, so we'll bring that up in a little bit. Jamie Braj is here as well. Botard. I think shouting out to someone else, Jamie Oliveira as well. So good evening to both of you, if you're both here. And Linda in the Austin household as well. Is it possible to grow ginger in a pot or garden from the root bought from a shop? So yes, Lee, you get the ginger from the shop. Can you then put it in the pot or the garden?
You can get it from the shop and you can go in a pot. You just need a big enough pot.
Oh, okay. So pretty vigorous then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I will be doing ginger this year. It's something I haven't done before, and it's something I will be trying this year. So I've done a bit of research on it, and
Yep.
there are people here in Portugal that grow it in containers. So
Yeah,
I'll do a video about it.
Brilliant. We love the videos, and of course, responding to John's compost heap inquiry, you put a video up of your beloved compost heaps. You use the tumblers, don't you?
I've got all three methods. I do all three methods here because I create quite a lot of waste with the job as well.
Yes, of course.
So my tumble is my favourite, obviously, because it's quick and easy to do, and that's great for the kitchen waste and for my own lawn mowing waste. That all goes into there. Then I have the big pallet compost on one side of the house, and that's where all my brash and all the twigs that are too small to put through the chipper or to dump the small stuff. They go into them. They're actually turning over this week. Thanks, John, for reminding me. They need turning over. And then I have a cage composter on the other side. And that's where all my heavy stuff goes. The bits of soil, the packs of leaves. So I've got all three methods going on. And I do like composting. It's just a great way of saving your material without having to dump it or tip it or pay for disposal of it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. When you forget and you go back and you find some, what would you call it? Brown gold. It's beautiful, isn't it? When you've produced something you can actually grow in it. It's really, really wonderful. Absolutely love it myself. Okay, I was way off. The record is £140. It's a childhood memory, I suspect, Marty. Sorry for the misinformation. It's okay. We're not like Facebook. We're not going to ban you. But things do grow fast up here. But the gardening season is only really 4 months or so. And that's amazing, isn't it? Human beings that have adapted to live in that. I take my hat off to you. I really do. Or take off my 27 scarves to you, basically, and hats. That's amazing, Marty. Any more gardening pictures or anecdotes from Alaska? Most welcome. Anna, you've got a few, haven't you, tonight from the group? Oh, we need you unmuted, Anna.
I've got yes, two from people who sent me a question in, and I've also got a picture one. I've actually got my phone up in front of me, but yes, one is a bit of a pest or insect ID situation. And I have got two questions. One, I don't know the location for the first one, and my other one is for my aunt in Wiltshire, who's got in touch with me. I've forgotten if I asked that particular question last time, but just as we're talking about things, gardening stuff growing incredibly quick. I've got a question from Dino, and he was wondering how long is it best to wait for mowing the lawn during the wet weather season?
Technically, the rule is you never mow while it's damp, because you want the grass to be stood up straight, and when it's damp or wet, it's lay flat. So the golden rule is to wait for it to stand and the sun out. Some lawns I've mowed all the way through the winter because they've not stopped growing. Other lawns I've not mowed as much. I've let them be. But I think it depends on the type of grass that you have. It depends on what the sort of sun it's getting. It depends on if you've got sprinkler systems and you've kept it watered all year, because that'll encourage growth. There's a lot of variables in mowing times and mowing techniques. If he's using a cylinder machine, that'll be different to using a rotary machine. So it's a difficult question to answer. Apart from it's very difficult to kill a lawn. So if you want to mow it, mow it. You won't get that in.
I know I've definitely had some experience with a cylinder mower, because it was the first time I'd properly used one. In fact, I think I actually ended up starting when I was at my dad's. I actually well, I've had three grass cutting scenarios. I fell for the cutting the grass with a pair of scissors, and it turned out to be actually trimming the grass by the sleeper beds with a pair of scissors. And I was sort of stood there grinning, thinking, "Yeah, I know, I've heard that one before," and that one backfired. And I've done a bit of grass cutting with a I think it was a petrol mower, I think, which was my first time actually using a proper mower. And I've also discovered with the cylinder mower, which I've got here, I always keep finding, particularly when the grass is wet, as you were saying, I keep finding that so often when I pretty much flatten the grass, and then I sort of think I've done it, and then suddenly it looks like I haven't done anything. So yeah, I can understand the wait for it to be dry, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
When I used to cut the big ornamental lawns and the bowling greens, we used to drag brush them first. We used to go over first with a brush to stand them all up, and then you could go over the mower. But we were cutting millimeters then. We were cutting them down to 10 milli on a good green. So again, going back to the original question, if he's unsure about cutting it now, he could cut it on a high cut. He could set his machine to the highest cut and work his way down until he feels confident that it's really growing and taking hold. As the new seeded lawns, I won't be cutting these for a couple of weeks yet, and then when I do, I'll just be taking the tops off it. I'll barely be cutting it. I'll just be keeping, because it'll grow thicker in patches in areas. So I'll just be mowing them to keep tidy rather than to actually cut it. So there's a lot of variables in it. If you'd like to post some photographs online, I'd have a look at his images and give you some better advice. That might be the easiest way of doing it.
Yeah, no problem.
Anna, you need to write a book maybe about your lawn experiences called Law and Order.
Could do, yes.
Okay. Going back to Alaska before we go.
The lawn and the lawn won.
Yes, in Anna's case. Very good, John. Thank you very much. Look, I think Marty, he has been on the Douro wine. He thought he was talking about cabbages. He's actually talking about pumpkins by the sound of it now. There's quite a difference, Marty, between a pumpkin and a cabbage. I think you'll find a record-setting pumpkin has won this year's Great Pumpkin Way Off at the Alaska State Fair. Dale Marshall's. This is, I see. So, no, he was, so 100-pound cabbages, 1,000-pound pumpkins. Gotcha. Is that 1,471.5-pound Whopper set a state fair record Tuesday at the Palmer Fairgrounds. Now, that's a day out, isn't it? Going to see a pumpkin of that size. And he says, yeah, too much Douro wine. Ha ha ha. He's having a good evening over there in Alaska. Fantastic. Okay. So I think what I've got for you, Anna, is that the image you're looking for the pest in a leaf?
Let me have a look.
Got a mark again. I was looking at it thinking, was it a mark on a leaf or was it an actual pest? Because I wasn't sure if it was an indent, but yeah, this one is from Mum. I think it was something like a primrose or something like that. I think, yeah.
Give us as much backstory as you got. Does that ring any bells there or cause any alarm for you, Lee?
She was just wondering what pest it might be if it is one. But,
unfortunately, I'm on my mobile phone. It looks like a shrimp for me.
Yeah,
or a flea. It looks like a flea.
Yeah. I'll have to have a look on my laptop when I get home at a bigger picture of it because I've got bad eyes and I'm on the mobile phone, so it's not great.
All right.
Yeah.
But I'll have a look at that. I'll let you know. I do like a nice bug photograph.
Oh yes, when I was looking at it, I couldn't actually tell if it, as I said, if it was an indent or if it was actually something munching away at the leaf. Because I think, from what I remember, I think the leaf is actually quite discoloured to the point it's nearly. I think it is nearly sort of white as opposed to green. So we weren't sure if that was pest related or something else.
Yeah. I'll have to have a look at the laptop and I'll let you know.
Nice one. All right, Anna, onward then. We'll come back to that one in due course. You there, Anna?
Yeah.
Was this the other one from Oriel? Because we got it on the screen now, actually, if you want it.
Yes. Yeah, it was the. Do you know of any fruit trees? I can't see the or bushes that do well in damp, shady areas.
Okay.
But, I'm not sure if that's UK or Portugal, by the way. But
It's an interesting question because my guess would be that you need sun for fruit, don't you? Or is that not a complete and a hard and fast rule?
Well, the problem is you can have too much sun for the fruit, or for some sorts of fruit. I know the orange trees and lemon trees love the bright sunshine, but if you're talking of stuff like the currants and the blackberries, they don't mind the shade. I know back in the UK, I would always put my currant bushes were always in the shady spots of the garden, and I've done the same here because it gets too warm for them.
Yeah,
and I can't get enough water into the ground. It'd be overwatering every day just to keep them down. So the smaller stuff that grows on canes, I presume they'd be great in the shade in a damp corner. Gooseberries, they'd do quite well in the shade. A lot of smaller canes, yeah, would be absolutely fine. Any of the big trees, they want the sunshine. They want to be out and free.
So
my courgettes are into a shady spot.
Oh, say that again. Sorry.
The courgettes here do well in the shady, damp spots. Because the courgette leaf is so big, they don't like too much direct sunshine. So maybe courgettes, they do quite well in the dark corner of the garden.
Okay, excellent. All right, so gooseberries, currants, and courgettes, by the sound of it.
Just off the top of my head, but I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure I could come up with a list of more. But that's what I go in the shade here. I purposely shade those plants. Yeah.
Interesting. Good. John, are you all right? Did you have something in your eye?
I did actually, yes. Yeah, I did. That was unfortunate, but I guess it happens. But one thing I was going to say, I just posted in the group, that obviously if people can't think of questions, or perhaps we run out of time and we can't answer them, or if they're not able to watch the show like now, then they could we will try and answer them next week. So I posted a message basically saying that in the group. So obviously, I guess if you're watching the show, you probably won't have seen that. But yeah, once we're finished, if you didn't get your question answered, or if you couldn't think of one, or if you're watching this on Thursday and you're thinking, damn, I want to ask a question, then the comment is there in the group to comment on, and I will note down the questions I get, and yeah, we'll try and answer them next week, because of course we're only here for an hour a week, so we can't always answer all the questions that we get, but we always make our best effort to do so. And yeah,
nicely done, Sir John of the Agate. There, fantastic. We move on to Gary's persistent weed, I think, in his garden here that he would rather get rid of by non-pesticide means. This is a familiar looking fella. It looks like clover, doesn't it? Maybe it is.
It's not clover.
Oh,
I'm just trying to zoom in on it now.
Shamrock. Shamrock clover.
Ask him to pull one piece up and see if it tastes like apple.
If it tastes like what? Cattle?
And it's apple.
Apple, right? Okay. So it's assuming it's safe. Give it a look.
I think it's a wood sorrel, and if I'm correct, and it does taste and smell like apple, I wouldn't mind having it in my garden.
It's pretty, isn't it? Maybe he's overrun with it.
Yeah, well, fortunately for him, it's quite seasonal here. It's a spring weed. It comes up early spring and it'll die off when the heat starts. If it is a sorrel, I think it is. Again, I'm on my mobile phone. I should really do this on the laptop.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a good start, though.
If you've got any weed that you that you're sick of and you're struggling to control without herbicides. The only way to do it is manual labour. Hack away at it. If you keep weeding it, you keep rotating the ground with soil, with the hoe or with the spade, you will eventually win. On my maintenance round, when I go to people's gardens, the first job after I've had my look around and my assessment is to weed out all the beds. I do it every time I go, even if it looks like there's no weeds in the bed. I'll go over them with the hoe, and I'll motivate the soil, because it exposes the seeds to the sunlight and to the heat and to the rain, and it kills them off.
Mm-hmm.
So I never ended up with a bucket full of weeds at the end of any garden. If it's done regular on a weekly or fortnightly basis, the weeds never get a chance to grow. They never get a chance to take. So regular hoeing over. Or with that, if that soil is in an exposed area where you could get the lawnmower onto it, you could mow it regular, and that'll get rid of it. That'll kill it off. And
did you describe it as wood sorrel?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah, from the image I can see here.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's like a clover leaf on a long stem.
Yes, that's right. That's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah. So I think it's a sorrel. Yeah, and if it tastes like apple, then it's actually edible.
Okay. There's a little bit of a
yeah.
Interesting. There you go, Gary. And you make a really good point, Lee, about if the intense sun eventually will kill it off, won't it? A fragile little thing like that is going to get killed off at some point. So it might just have its turn and go.
Yes. If it is a sorrel, I suspect it is, then they are very seasonal. In a few weeks when the sun comes out, they'll be gone.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. I hope that helps, Gary. Comment from Marcos Valbon, an occasional visitor to us. Carl in Tamar near Fatima. They have medieval gardens. There's a beautiful botanical garden in Tamar that I really like. And I guess the gardens up by the convent. Well, they are, yeah. I've seen them as well. They're really special. Do you like touring the formal gardens of Portugal, Lee? And any recommendations?
So far, I've only done the ones that are local to me.
Okay.
I did go to Fatima. I did the Camino Trail.
Oh yes.
Camino, is it?
The Camino.
Yes, I did the Camino from Lisbon to Fatima, but it was dark when we got there, so I didn't get a chance to visit any of the sites. But we keep saying, as soon as the lockdown's over, one of the things I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
But my favourite one in Lisbon, luckily in Portugal, luckily is on my doorstep. And that's in Sintra, and it's the I can't think of the name now at the moment. It's a Portuguese name, and it's up in the Sintra centre. Yeah, they're beautiful. It's fantastic gardens up there. The name will come to me.
Yeah, fantastically, thank you. And this is what I love about gardeners. You always get a number of different views, don't you, or something you might not have thought of. Paul Williams in the Algarve, Gary Austin, one of the best ways to get rid of it is to get a chicken to clear an area. Tiny bubblets under the surface, they love. Borrow a chicken, put him in a chicken tractor or whatever, or let him go free range on there, and he'll love you. You'll make a friend of a chicken for life, by the sound of it there.
I'm going to try and pronounce the garden in Sintra now, and it's Quinta de Galera.
Okay.
Quinta de Galera. That's how you pronounce it. But yeah, it's a beautiful gardens up there.
Over in Fairyland Sintra. Okay. In the photo, it's growing through a weed blanket and gravel, so that's not stopped it. So I think you got to get the chickens on it, Gary. You know, foul play here. Anna, I think you had another question.
Yes. This is some in sort of based in the Wiltshire area. This question, I think, but just a general question as well. Can all ferns live outside in the UK?
Good question.
I suppose so. If you take care of them, yeah. If you're able to move them in during the really harsh weathers, yeah, I think so. I don't think I've come across any real that suffer too badly. It really depends. It really depends on how cold gets, and I know Wiltshire's down south, so yeah, I think she'll be okay.
Oh yeah, good to know.
And is there any background on that question, Anna? Has she had a bit of a disaster with a fern?
Not what I've heard of. I think it just came through as that question. I didn't get any other background in that, but yeah, I'll investigate. I'll investigate further, and
One that I really love is the maidenhair fern, and it's so nice to see and buy it as a potted plant. And then it's one of those house plants, I think, that gets killed quite easily. Why is that, Lee? Is it just terribly delicate? Is it like the adult version of the Venus flytrap, which looks great, and then kids mess about with it and it's killed within a few days or weeks?
I think ferns. I think they prefer a certain soil structure. Some like acidic soils. And some prefer the more alkali soils. Some like it really damp, and others like it really dry. So I think it's getting the right conditions for the right type of fern that you've got. I think the conditions are a big thing with the ferns.
They're a bit touchy.
Yeah, I think they really can be. Because I've had experience myself where I put them in the wrong spot, shall we say. It's got a bit too much sun and not enough water, and they can be finicky. But they do tend to give you notice on when they're feeling sick. You can tend to see that in them. It gives you the opportunity to move them.
All right, temperamental ferns there. Jean van der Beek's recommendation is in Madeira, and that would be the Monte Palace Tropical Garden. That does sound very special. And the islands in the Atlantic are going to have a special climate, aren't they? I'd love to go to the Azores and Madeira one day and see the plant, or see the islands themselves. Sounds amazing. And they grow tea, don't they, in the Azores? Of course, which gives you an idea.
I think the Azores, one of the reasons I would like to go is they use hydrangeas for hedging plants.
Oh, wow.
Apparently the place is covered in hydrangeas. It's like as a farming hedge, where in England we use hawthorn and blackthorn. They use hydrangeas, and there are some photographs that I've seen where it just looks stunning.
It must do.
It's definitely on my places to go. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like Grandma's garden everywhere. That sounds fantastic. Paul, adding to Gary's weed inquiry, here in the Algarve, you see enormous fields covered in it up to the middle of April when it dies off. So, it sounds like the hot weather will kill it. And it's, it's quite attractive. It could almost be used as a manure crop, couldn't it? Rather than trying to kill it or kill other weeds, you could use that on its own as coverage for a certain part of the year and put something back into the soil.
I've seen it on woodland edges where it looks like a green carpet, and it's a really pretty green as well. So yeah.
Okay, so maybe go with it as well. Quinta da Regalera in Sintra is you're getting a bit of Portuguese coaching from Marcos Valpont there, Lee.
That's the place. Yeah.
That's the one. Any more questions, Anna or John, from the group that we should be including before I start moaning about my own?
Well, not that I can think of personally, but I don't know about you, Anna. I'm
just having a look. In fact, I'll check on my phone to have a look.
As soon as I started talking about moaning, Lee's gone. Don't blame him, actually. But,
I was just thinking when I just said about hydrangeas, I think I've got this right, but I seem to remember there is a way that you can tell what type of soil condition it is, or what the pH is, because I think I've actually been somewhere where I've seen the opposite. But if it's pink, I think I've got this right. If it's pink, it's acidic soil, and if it's blue, it's alkaline soil. But I think I remember, because I think we've got the redder colour.
Oh, fantastic! So the colour of the hydrangea is like almost like a nature's pH paper.
I think it is. I'm trying to remember when I found that out, but I do remember we've got the red version. I think I have seen the blue version elsewhere somewhere, but we've definitely got the red type, I think. And in fact, I know we did do an interesting test, because we when I was doing my Friday afternoons, Wednesday afternoons gardening sessions, we were umming and ahhing whether to cut the heads off, because it was when they had gone over. And I do remember I think we left half of them on and half of them off, just to see which one seemed to work work best. And I think if I remember, I think sort of cutting them off so they can regrow again seemed to be, I think that was what it preferred, if I remember rightly. So if anyone has got any hydrangeas that are going a little bit unruly, then just cut them back a bit and they will grow back
Nice,
in the right time.
fantastic. Gary's popped outside. This is real-time gardening Q&A. Just had a taste, and it does taste. He's even given it a variety of apple it tastes like. Granny Smith apple, but I don't want it in this area as it's where I have my ornamental plants. Woo! He's not happy about it. He's not happy about it, but I think we've identified it correctly. A little bit in the salad, maybe. Obviously, do the proper test. Make sure you've identified it correctly, and do the sort of, I don't know, Ray Mears thing. Rub it on your groin, see if you get a rash. All that kind of caper before you commit to it. Give it to the wife first, did you say?
Yeah.
Not on International Women's Day. Maybe on a different day of the year. But there you go, Gary. That's good. Acid blue, alkaline pink, mauve neutral hydrangeas. You can buy powder to make them blue. Well, I didn't know that about hydrangeas. That's fantastic.
And of course, we must point out that other variants of apple are available. Varieties of apple are available.
Thank you, John. We don't want to be upsetting any apple producers anywhere in the world right now. Okay, so just very quickly then, I've got myself a hydrangea here. No, I haven't. I've got myself a lemongrass here. What am I talking about? I'm a bit distracted by hydrangeas and that new info. So there we go. We've got a lemongrass that somebody gave me. And they potted it up very quickly before they gave it away in some very clay soil. This is all of these pictures I'm going to show you are a reflection of my very poor and non-green thumb type skills. I might have left this too long. Or can a lemongrass look dry like that and still recover, Lee?
That could recover. Strip out all the dead stuff.
Yeah,
I think you'll find it'll already have a few shoots coming up from the bottom.
Okay, great.
Put it in a warm spot. Keep it watered. But make sure you strip out all the dead stuff first.
Clean it up, put it in the heat, and water it well. Okay. Look at my pathetic sweet potatoes, Lee. What happened there? Are these GM ones that don't regrow or something? What's the deal? That looks like a face as well.
Did you change the water on them like I told you to?
No. Okay, so we understand what went wrong there. I mean, I'm the negative here, aren't I?
If it makes you feel any better, one of my sweet potatoes has been attacked by a bug. It's ate straight the way through it. But my other two have got good roots coming through now. So they're ready. I've just put them out in the sun today.
And has that had it? Are they write-offs that I've got there? Is it too late?
No,
now?
just keep them. No, they're not write-offs. They're not write-offs. Change the water.
All right.
Change the water and just they'll come on.
All right.
They'll grow in.
I've put some peas in. Hopefully because they're easy to grow, aren't they? There's me shoes, which I did neglect a bit as well. I'm hoping they're going to come up. They look really sad, don't they? But my best thing yet, Lee, look at this. The garlic method you taught us. They're looking pretty good, I think.
Oh, that's superb, that, Cal. Yeah.
Oh, excellent.
Smash it.
I feel better now. All right. We are about to conclude. I know John likes to finish a prompt finish at 7. Anything we should know, Lee, before we go? Anything that hasn't been said that should be said?
Enjoy the sun. It's forecast a dry week all week in Portugal. So get out and enjoy it. And start your tomatoes off if you haven't already. Start doing your seeds. Start prepping. It's going to be a good one.
All right, and some encouragement. Thank you for that, Lee. That is really encouraging and great to hear. Gary says might send you a text from the hospital later. This is after it started off as Granny Smith's, and John van der Beek says, "Can we tell Gary now that if it tasted like almonds, he'd have 2 days left to live?" Making light of it there, but seriously, folks, don't go tasting stuff willy nilly if you're not sure what it is. No. And Marty,
I was quite sure what it was, and if you rub it between your hands first, you can actually smell the apple smell to it.
Fair play.
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. And Marty, obrigado for this session from Alaska. Lee, you've been amazing again. Thank you very much.
Right, everyone. Nice to see everybody again.
As have you, Sir Lord John of the Agate and Anna DJ Antics, who you can catch on her radio show on a Thursday, folks, playing some great music. And we can put that link in the group as well, so you can hear Anna in another capacity where I'm sure she'll play a request for you. Thank you, everybody, tonight. That's been great. Take care and bye.
Keep sending questions in.
Yes, I'll keep, absolutely, Anna. Sorry, did you want to add anything apart from that?
I was just going to say, for those new to StreamYard, don't forget to just grant access so you can, so you can get in touch, and we'll try and answer as many questions as we can in the time that we have, and we'll do our best to save any questions for next time, and just keep sending them in. Ready?
Splendid.
Good luck with the gardening.
Yes, good luck with the gardening. Fantastic. Have a great week. Cheers and bye.